So it is important in times like these to have a distraction. And that's why I want to personally extend my gratitude to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively.
Chelsea Handler joked about Blake Lively during the 2025 Critics' Choice Awards while hosting, and the internet went into chaos soon after. Handler didn't just make light remarks. She targeted Blake's legal situation and pointed at what she described as desperate PR tactics behind it.
Chelsea Handler just roasted Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni in front of a lot of major celebrities at an award show.
Lively may have believed she still had control of the narrative, but Handler reportedly flipped the script in a way that left little room to maneuver.
Really just happening out in Hollywood. The Critics' Choice Awards happened. Chelsea Handler is hosting it. I don't think Blake Lively is going to.
And let me tell you why Chelsea's roast spread like wildfire. Because she has never been the type to hold back. She has built her entire career on saying what others are too afraid to say. And this time Blake Lively was right in the center of the fire.
She does make fun of Justin and Blake, but the fact that she's making fun of it at all shows she doesn't believe Blake.
From late-night TV to sold-out stand-up shows, Chelsea has roasted celebrities, torn apart Hollywood hypocrisy, and built a career off calling out the nonsense everyone else tiptoes around. So, when she stepped onto the Critics' Choice stage, you knew things were about to get messy, and sure enough, her first target was none other than Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, whose off-screen drama has overshadowed their actual movie entire.
I think that's incredibly telling, and to see Hollywood celebrities in this room laughing at it and agreeing with her that, like, we're over this, stop Blake, this wasn't worth it.
The legal battle between Blake and Justin has unfolded like a Hollywood soap opera with fewer twists and far more legal filings. Blake initiated everything by suing Baldoni, alleging workplace harassment and a so-called smear campaign in the public narrative unfolding online now.
Time at the premiere, you find out that Blake Lively tells people that all of a sudden he wrote a scene in the movie. I mean, you know, shocking everybody, shocking Sony, shocking the production staff.
But instead of backing down, Baldoni swung back even harder, dragging Ryan Reynolds into the mix and accusing both Blake and Ryan of extortion and defamation. At that point, the whole situation had escalated so far that it stopped being about the movie and became one giant PR disaster. It wasn't a case anymore. It was a full-blown circus, and Chelsea Handler, she saw right through it.
So it is important in times like these to have a distraction. And that's why I want to personally extend my gratitude to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively.
The moment she brought up the lawsuit, the energy in the room shifted. Some gasped, some laughed, and others reacted with awkward expressions. But the strongest reaction was Orlando Bloom laughing on camera by as moment intense room, suggesting the moment was taken less seriously by Hollywood. If there was ever a moment for the industry to rally behind Blake, this was it. Instead, they reacted with laughter. And in showbiz, when you become a joke, you're done now.
I find it offensive to Justin because Justin got totally screwed in this situation, it seems. Potentially, right? And so I don't like that about it, but she's not going to.
What made Chelsea's joke even more brutal was the timing. By then, the cracks in Blake's case were already showing. At first, she had public sympathy, but then leaked text messages flipped the narrative.
The hit piece had a bunch of text messages and emails between Baldoni and his PR team. Baldoni ended up being dropped from William Morris Agency, which is one of the biggest agencies in the world. Lively claimed that she missed hosting SNL because of the Baldoni smear campaign.
One of the most controversial revelations was the breastfeeding comment situation, where Blake claimed Baldoni made inappropriate remarks about her breastfeeding on set, but the messages told a different version of events, one in which Blake herself repeatedly brought it up, which appeared to contradict the core of her accusation.
Men repeatedly entered her makeup trailer uninvited while she was undressed, including when she was breastfeeding.
Then came the intimate scene controversy, where Blake claimed she was pressured into filming something inappropriate, but when behind-the-scenes documents surfaced, they told a completely different story. Not only had Blake approved the scene in advance, but sources also claimed she was the one making script changes to enhance it. Suddenly, her accusations were not just being questioned, they were collapsing entirely.
Knocking them both. She's sort of saying, like, enough, you two, this is ridiculous. Why is this even a thing? And to me, that means it's a knock.
So, when Chelsea Handler mocked the lawsuit in front of Hollywood's biggest names, it wasn't just comedy, it was a wake-up call. The moment the crowd laughed instead of gasping in support, Blake's credibility appeared to take a serious hit.
Baldoni is now counter-suing. He sued the New York Times for $250 million. He claims that Ryan Reynolds aggressively berated
Chelsea didn't just make a joke. She made a statement suggesting Hollywood was done pretending this lawsuit was anything other than a PR nightmare, and to add to it, she sarcastically thanked Blake and Justin for the entertainment.
It's like kind of a jerk. Wow, she's like kind of a...
The fallout was immediate. Within hours, media outlets ran headlines about Chelsea's roast, and social media exploded with clips of her joke being replayed on repeat. People were no longer debating whether Blake was right or wrong. They were instead reacting to how chaotic the situation had become, and that is the worst possible scenario for Blake and Ryan.
Whatever, it kind of passed. It was over. But like a lot of thin-skinned Hollywood types, she couldn't stand the fact that it was still lingering in any way out there. And she decided to file a complaint with the California Human Rights Division.
If they were hoping this legal battle would protect their public image, it has done the complete opposite, because once you become a punchline in Hollywood, there is no easy recovery from that.
And he allegedly did this is because she'd accused him during the filming of the movie of sexual harassment.
And if you are wondering what is actually going on between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, buckle up, because this lawsuit is messier than it first appears. What started as a film production has turned into a full-blown Hollywood dispute involving allegations, counterclaims, and enough drama to fuel years of entertainment headlines.
They did make a movie together called It Ends With Us. She claimed Baldoni had improvised unwanted kissing and discussed his life, including encounters in which he said he may not have received consent. Mr. Heath, the producer Jamie Heath, had shown her a video of his wife naked, she said, and he had watched Miss Lively in her trailer when she was topless and having body makeup removed, despite her asking him to look away.
So here's the deal. Both Blake and Baldoni were not just acting in It Ends With Us. They also had significant creative control over the project. Blake was involved as a producer while Baldoni directed. And instead of the film becoming a blockbuster, it ended up generating headlines for all the wrong reasons. By the end of 2020, tensions had reportedly reached a boiling point, and Blake made the first move.
He decided to file a complaint with the California Human Rights Division, but that was really, I believe, and it is alleged by Justin's lawyers now, just a setup so that she could give the New York Times cover to do a huge hit piece on him and attempted rehab of...
In December 2024, she officially filed a complaint with the California Civil Rights Department accusing Baldoni of sexual harassment and workplace retaliation, but she did not stop there. She also claimed that Baldoni and producer Jamie Heath were running a coordinated smear campaign against her in an attempt to damage her reputation.
There are a lot of bodies for Blake Lively. So he's first filed a defamation lawsuit against the New York Times for their totally irresponsible report about this matter, in which they made a mistake, so egregious mistakes. I mean, but intentional errors, you could argue.
It was a major allegation, and the New York Times reported on it, framing Baldoni as the central figure in the controversy. But instead of stepping back, Baldoni responded forcefully in January 2025, when he filed a $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times, accusing the publication of presenting a one-sided and selectively edited version of events. But the situation escalated further a few weeks later on January 16, 2025, when Baldoni's attorney filed a $400 million lawsuit against Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist, Leslie Sloan.
Have internal PR meetings about what they might have to do because this woman, Leslie Sloan, who works for the Ryan and Blake, was dropping hit piece after hit piece on Justin, and that Blake had spent the entire prior year trying to wrest control of this movie.
The claims included civil extortion, defamation, and invasion of privacy, with Baldoni alleging that Blake attempted to exert control over the film, and when things did not go her way, she allegedly made accusations to shift blame. The lawsuit has already had major consequences. Baldoni was dropped by his talent agency WME shortly after Blake's allegations became public, and Vital Voices also revoked his Voices of Solidarity award, signaling a rapid loss of industry support.
Baldoni, it was his film. He was the director. He's the producer. He's the one who found the book and got the idea for it. And she was such a brat that she wanted to control every scene, wanted to see all the dailies, wanted to do her own cut, and did her own cut of the movie. All this is very unusual for just an act.
But Blake did not walk away unscathed either. Her entire press tour was widely criticized as a PR disaster, with people accusing her of being tone deaf and focusing more on her hair than the film's themes of domestic violence. And what makes this situation more interesting is Hollywood's reaction, because normally when a major female star makes allegations like these, the industry rallies behind her. But in this case, the response has largely been unusually quiet.
She's the lead, and that she's now tried to turn this whole thing into a PR victory for her to get past what appears to be the fact that she is an egotist.
Some celebrities have shown support, but most major names have stayed out of it. And then there is Chelsea Handler, who went ahead and said what many others were hesitant to say during the 2025 Critics' Choice Awards. Chelsea did not just make a passing joke. She openly mocked the situation. Her words included a sarcastic thank you to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively for the distraction during these difficult times.
It's important in times like these to have a distraction. And that's why I want to personally extend my gratitude to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively.
No sympathy, no outrage, just pure sarcasm. And the way the audience laughed instead of gasping, that reaction was interpreted by some as a sign of Hollywood's shifting attitude toward the situation. Now, people are trying to figure out why Blake hasn't received the level of overwhelming support she may have expected. Some argue it is because the case is complex and few want to take sides, while others believe Hollywood is simply exhausted by public legal battles that turn into media spectacles and damage reputations. Either way, the situation is not looking favorable for Blake.
And to me, that means it's a knock on Blake. I want you to watch this joke. Let's see how you guys take it.
I am your DEI host, Chelsea Handler.
And it is far from over. The trial is currently scheduled for March 9th, 2026 in New York, and whatever happens next is expected to have a major impact on both of their careers. At this point, Blake and Baldoni are not just fighting in court, they are also fighting to protect their reputations in Hollywood. And the question now is why this entire Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni situation is giving many people a strong sense of déjà vu.
Has made herself into the new Amber Heard, and he is the new Johnny Depp. That's what's caught people's attention. She had a round of negative publicity when this movie she did, It Ends With Us, about domestic violence.
Because it is being compared by some people to another high-profile Hollywood legal battle similar to the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. It has many of the same elements, including major celebrities' public allegations, counter-lawsuits, and intense media attention, turning it into a widely followed entertainment and legal spectacle.
Just the picture they're painting of him is so gross. It's another Amber Johnny situation.
If you need a refresher, the Depp-Heard saga began with Amber Heard's 2018 op-ed in the Washington Post, where she implied she had experienced domestic abuse. Depp then sued for defamation, and Heard countersued for $100 million. What followed was months of highly publicized courtroom proceedings with leaked text recordings and various controversial moments that turned the case into a major media spectacle in 2022, dominating headlines and overshadowing much of their professional work.
Ridiculous. Why are we here, Blake? Because again, you gotta remember, Blake filed this suit, not Justin. Blake filed this suit. And if all of Hollywood is really believing her and Ryan, well, then why are they laughing? It's because this shouldn't be funny. This shouldn't be funny if we are seriously taking Blake's case so serious, which we're not.
Now fast forward to 2025, and the situation is being compared by some observers to a repeat of past Hollywood legal dramas with different people involved. Blake Lively first filed a sexual harassment and retaliation complaint against Justin Baldoni in December 2024, and rather than remaining a private dispute, it escalated into a public legal battle when Baldoni responded with a $400 million lawsuit against Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist Leslie Sloan, alleging civil extortion, defamation, and invasion of privacy. And from that point, the dispute was no longer just about a film, but a major courtroom conflict playing out in the public eye.
Has no evidence. It's complete nonsense. He called me sexy and asked how much I weigh when he has a back problem. It is absurd what she's accusing him of, as we've broken down. And the evidence he's provided so far is showing she's not telling the truth. So people are clearly paying attention. It's all Hollywood can talk about. To see them laughing here.
And here's the thing about high-profile celebrity lawsuits. They often begin with serious allegations but quickly turn into a major media distraction. The Depp-Heard trial is often cited as an example where the legal battle overshadowed both of their acting careers because the focus shifted from the core issues to a non-stop social media debate about who is right or wrong. Now, a similar pattern is being suggested in the Blake and Baldoni situation, where instead of focusing on the film It Ends With Us, the public conversation has largely shifted toward lawsuits, leaked messages, and competing narratives about credibility.
It's all Hollywood can talk about. To see them laughing here.
For providing us with that distraction. I'm grateful. I think we're all grateful. And I think we're good.
And just like with Depp and Heard, Evidence has reportedly surfaced that some observers say complicates Blake's version of events. Baldoni's legal team has released text messages and emails that they claim show a more professional and amicable working relationship between the two rather than the hostile environment described in her allegations, and, according to his side, some of these communications may also appear to conflict with certain details in her claims.
Everybody in this room, no matter whose side you're on, we can all agree to accept that there's probably not going to be a sequel.
But it doesn't stop there. Baldoni's team also released raw footage from the set, claiming it undermines Blake's harassment allegations. According to Baldoni's attorney Brian Friedman, the footage shows their interactions as professional and consensual and not resembling the hostile environment described in her claims. And to make matters more complicated, Baldoni's side has also suggested that Blake may have a history of alleged bullying behavior herself.
We lose that. There's just a little smidge bit as they talk about it. The smidge left. It's just incredibly telling to see Hollywood they're out of patience. They don't want to hear this nonsense anymore.
This is where things could become significantly more damaging for Lively if Baldoni's evidence is ultimately upheld in court. Her credibility would face serious scrutiny. We have seen in past high-profile cases that once public confidence in a narrative begins to weaken, sympathy can shift quickly, and the entire situation can turn into a reputational crisis. And unlike scripted Hollywood stories, real-life legal disputes do not offer easy recovery from that kind of public fallout.
Responded afterwards saying that this whole thing got, publicized, your lawsuit, saying she is in no way connected to any attempt to smear Blake.
Now, both Lively and Baldoni are reportedly trying to protect their public images as the industry closely watches their every move. The trial is scheduled for March 2026 in New York, and whatever happens in court is expected to have a major impact on both of their careers, because in Hollywood you can recover from a bad film, but once your name becomes associated with a major legal dispute, it can be much harder to rebuild your reputation and secure major roles again.
Somebody is seriously sexually harassed. You don't make fun of it. It's a serious.
And honestly, it all started as a simple movie collaboration that turned into a battle for creative control and then escalated into a full-blown legal dispute playing out in front of the public. Apparently, the conflict did not begin with the lawsuit alone, but started earlier during production when Blake Lively allegedly sought more influence over the film than Justin Baldoni was willing to hand over.
What Ryan Reynolds, has seemingly done, right, is used his power and influence to not only help Blake Lively take over this movie, but, he's used it, on Deadpool and to make fun of Justin.
According to The Hollywood Reporter, once the movie was in post-production, Blake Lively reportedly made a significant move by bringing in editor Shane Reed, who she and Ryan Reynolds had previously worked with on Deadpool and Wolverine, and commissioning her own version of the film. This suggested that a separate cut was created during post-production alongside the director's version. The final theatrical release credited editors Rob Sullivan and others, indicating that Baldoni's original vision may have been significantly reworked during the editing process.
Where his character Deadpool, which is very popular in this movie, acts more like the Justin Baldoni that I said turned me off with the I'm against toxic masculinity.
If that wasn't enough of a power play, things reportedly became even more complicated when reports suggested Ryan Reynolds was involved in the production process. Variety reported that Reynolds contributed rewrites to a rooftop scene between Lively and Baldoni without Baldoni's direct involvement, which some saw as a source of tension between the creative team, and later Baldoni reportedly brought in a crisis management expert in August 2024, suggesting that the situation had escalated beyond simple creative disagreements.
Nonsense anymore. Here it is.
It ends with us.
Here it is. Again, more celebrities laughing.
There's probably not going to be a sequel. It ends with us, guys.
And just when it seems like the situation could not become more complicated, it reportedly comes down to two key pieces of evidence: a dance scene and a voice message. The dance sequence, originally intended as a romantic moment in the film, has now become central to Blake Lively's harassment claims against Justin Baldoni. According to The Times, during filming, Baldoni allegedly leaned in during the scene and made a remark that Blake's legal team has described as inappropriate and uncomfortable. arguing it demonstrates unprofessional conduct. However, Baldoni's team has strongly disputed this account, releasing unedited footage of the same moment and claiming it shows a consensual and professional interaction on set.
What I will say is this is not, Blake Lively's not good at this. So if you're mad that she's calling out Justin too, in a way, of enough you guys, I would challenge back. This is absolutely not good for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds.
To make things even more complicated, Fox News reportedly brought in body language analysts to review the footage, and their conclusion suggested the interaction appeared tense, but did not clearly indicate any wrongdoing. That kind of ambiguity is often what fuels intense media debate around high-profile cases. And then there is the voice message, a short audio clip Baldoni allegedly sent to Lively during production, apologizing for any discomfort, which Blake's team argues supports their interpretation of events.
Hey, Blake. It is 2 a.m. Hopefully this does not wake you up. I want to start with an apology. Man, reading the second part of your message, my heart sank. And I'm really sorry.
But Baldoni's lawyers argue it was not an admission of wrongdoing, saying it was a general apology of the kind often used by directors to maintain a smooth working environment on set. According to CNN, this voice message has become one of the most closely examined pieces of evidence in the case, with interpretations differing sharply depending on perspective. At this stage, the broader industry is closely watching the outcome because the dispute has moved beyond a single lawsuit into a high-stakes battle over reputation, credibility, and career impact, with both sides presenting extensive arguments and evidence as the case develops.
I just want to say thank you for sharing that with me. That takes a lot of trust and vulnerability. And damn right, you got great friends if that's how you felt and they knew that, and we should all have.
If the court ultimately sides with Lively, Baldoni's reputation and career could face significant consequences, and with the trial scheduled for March 2026 in New York, the case is still only in its early stages. However, if the allegations are not supported in court, the situation could become legally serious for Lively as well. Under California law, knowingly making false statements that damage another person's reputation can potentially lead to defamation liability, which is why the outcome of cases like this carries high stakes for both sides.
They're there trying to be nice to all the celebrities, and then the celebrities are there, nominated for these awards along with some studios. So this is a very big Hollywood event and a sort of a press Hollywood event. And so to see them all basically mock this.
In simple terms, Baldoni would generally need to prove that Lively knowingly made false statements and did so with intent to harm his reputation, which could potentially support a defamation claim if successful. In such civil cases, remedies can include compensatory damages for proven harm and, in some situations, punitive damages if conduct is found to be especially serious. However, criminal consequences are a separate matter handled by prosecutors, not private lawyers. While California law does make it a crime to knowingly file a false police report, that is distinct from civil allegations made in a lawsuit or complaint, and criminal charges are uncommon and would require a separate investigation and decision by authorities based on strong evidence.
Me Too victim, he's a villain, and all the negative press you saw about her was astroturfed. Okay, that was her opening.
And as if that wasn't already enough legal trouble, Lively is also facing a separate defamation lawsuit reportedly filed by crisis management executive Jed Wallace, who claims she wrongfully implicated him in an alleged PR smear campaign against her. Wallace argues that his reputation was damaged by those accusations, and the case adds another layer of legal risk alongside the broader dispute. If the court rules against her in that matter, it could also result in financial damages, further increasing the stakes of an already complex legal situation.
He did a very smart thing, and he hired Brian Friedman, my lawyer who represented me in my fight with NBC. And let me tell you, you could ask for no better.
At this point, Blake is not just engaged in a legal dispute, but in a high-stakes battle over reputation and credibility. The trial is scheduled for March 2026, and much will depend on the evidence presented in court. If her claims are not supported, she could face serious consequences, including damage to public trust and potential financial liability. In a situation like this, the outcome of the case is likely to have a lasting impact on how both sides are viewed within the industry.
His PR team were out to smear poor innocent Blake, conspiring, saying, look at this article in the Daily Mail saying she's terrible and she's about to be canceled. And the other PR hack writes back, you're that good.
So Blake Lively may have believed she could control the narrative, but with public commentary, disputed evidence, and multiple legal disputes circulating, the situation has become increasingly complex. If the case does not hold up in court, it could lead to serious legal and reputational consequences, and with the trial scheduled for March 2026, the situation is still unfolding. However, it's important to note that much of this remains allegations and disputed claims, and the final outcome will depend on what is actually proven in court.